So hello, welcome. This video will explain how to solder and then will become just a big long hangout while I build a kit on camera, taking my sweet time and actually doing all of the things that I'm going to talk about. So soldering seems like this kind of impossible and difficult skill, and I don't think that's true or fair. Soldering is incredibly straightforward. There's just like a basic skill of just how to place the soldering iron, and then there's just rules like good practices that you can bear in mind. And initially I'll talk about what those are, and then hopefully I'll actually build this dang thing and we'll prove them by doing them. So this is a Eurorack module, but it's also an opportunity to show you just a circuit board. And the principle of soldering is very simple. All that you are doing is you are taking a soldering iron, which is very hot, and you are placing it against a leg of a component and a trace on a circuit board. And now when I say a trace, I mean these little tiny little bits of copper that are exposed on a board. Have I got a blank board here somewhere? Well, I've got one in this kit. So excuse me while I get it out. So these little holes, they are metal tipped. And what I want to do is I want my soldering iron, when it is hot, to touch one, whilst also touching the part, and I'm going to use solder in a sort of place of this, that will be poking through. You see this sort of poke hole through? All I am trying to do is put my soldering iron so that it is touching both parts at the same time. And then I use solder, and I've just used my solder as my example here, but I will push the solder in as well. So once again, the principle is this. Iron touches two things. It touches the little loop and it touches the part poking through. And as long as I'm making good contact with both of those things, and then I put the solder in between, so you need two hands, it helps to have something to hold it. You put the solder in between like this, and then the two will meld together. And what will happen is, because you heated both the part and the little ring, the solder will kind of zap into place as if by magic. It goes zook and just sucks in, and you have soldered your part. And that's basically all it is. You've got to touch two things: the thing, the leg, with your hot iron at the same time. Now, this is where we talk about some things that are important. I'll talk about a technique point first, which is cleanliness. So I have a soldering iron here, and the most important thing that you can do is keep your soldering iron tip clean. And by clean, I mean, if you can see it, maybe you can't see the end of this, I actually have a little blob of solder on the end of my iron. I highly recommend that you use a chisel tipped iron rather than the pointy needle type iron that you will see. Perhaps most of these things come with as a default. I'm fairly sure this is an Antex one. I don't know if this did come with the chisel tip, but a lot of them come with points. The problem with a point, and I mean, sure, many people will, if you've got very high quality point soldering irons, the problem is that you don't get a lot of physical contact between the circle on the PCB trace and the leg of the component. You don't get a lot of contact physically between the two. But a chisel is amazing, because a chisel will give you the maximum contact. It's nicely butted up against the leg. It's also nicely touching the little circle of the trace. It made life so much easier. And it was a bit of a revelation when I finally got one. So chisel tipped irons are my major tip. And then this thing of cleanliness. What I mean by cleanliness is that as an iron, as an iron tip is hot, it basically is oxidizing. So you're building up a layer of oxidization on the iron itself over time. And the very end, which is the bit that we actually use, this isn't on, by the way, in case you're worried that I'm turning my skin into like chicken. This is off. So basically the end needs to be clean. And by which I mean it needs to look shiny and silvery and be nice looking, because if it's shiny and silvery, then it will flow solder properly, and it will flow onto your like parts, and everything will be joyous and wonderful. You'll get a good heat transfer. The problem is if it oxidizes and the end becomes brown, then you don't get heat transfer and the whole thing doesn't work. And you end up kind of holding your thing against the part and going, it's not working, and I'm burning this part and I'm leaving it on for way, way, way too long. And that's because you oxidized your tip. So this is something I mentioned in the video I did with the radio music, which I will link to below, is I keep the tip of my soldering iron ludicrously clean. And perhaps there are going to be people who, know better than I, who are like, oh, you don't need to do this. But basically, when you're not using a soldering iron, it lives in a little holder like this, which is good because you don't touch it and burn yourself, and you can busy yourself doing things. Of course, when it's in that holder, if there was nothing to protect the tip, then the tip is just staying hot and oxidizing over time. So what I do, and what I heartily recommend that you do, and I can certainly say that my tips tend not to oxidize, as I say in the video, is at the moment there is a little blob on the end of here. When I plug in this iron and finally get it hot, I will flick that blob off. In fact, I will use a little wire scrubber thing like this, but we'll get to that. And then the tip will be silvery and exposed, but it will be ready to use. Once I have soldered the part, doing my soldering happy days, then I will take the finished iron, and I will dab it in the wire wool to clean off any bits, and then I will dab a blob of solder just onto the tip of the iron and let it rest there just by magicalness. Benjamin Izzo says that I'm way overkill on my blob size. You may well be right, Benjamin, but you can never be too careful. I don't want to buy another iron. And so I will keep a blob on there so that there is a little blob just resting on my iron, and I will very carefully place it back into the thing with the blob still on there. And that little blob will stay there like a magical protective blob. So protective blob will mean that my iron can just sit there happily as I do other stuff. And then I will do this. So many of the folks, I will probably say that this isn't entirely necessary. And you may well be right. And maybe I'm being over the top. But this is what I have. I don't have any other sort of special gear or anything. So I'm using solder as a protective layer. And it works. So it means that the tip is always nice and shiny and ready to use. And I'm not getting kind of funky oxidization problems as we go. Is there anything else that we should point out at this point? I think that's pretty much it. Keep your tip clean, and everything else should be pretty smooth. One other thing. Recommended things, or things you need. What do you need? And then what would be nice to have? Well, obviously you need an iron. And in terms of irons, I mean, you can get all manner of soldering irons. The ones to avoid are the weird-ass ones, like the kind of, like gas guns. They're literally ones that look like guns that have got like a weird loop of metal, and it's just like, dudes, these are not things that's not what you need. You need one that looks like this, just like a normal, boring soldering iron, but with a temperature which is measured in watts that is not too high. So this is 25 watts, which is fine. You don't need any more than that, I don't think. And so which is to say that it's hot enough to melt parts, but not crazy hot. Get a chisel tipped one, because that will give you a better heat transfer. But apart from that, it's pretty dumb and straightforward. There's nothing else to it. And on the other end, it literally has a plug. Yours will look different if you're not in Britain. But that's it. You plug it in, it gets hot, you use it. There are obviously really nice temperature controlled ones made by like Hacken? No, they make the Continuum. Like Hacko and lots of other great ones, which I'm sure people will recommend. But this is an Antex. It's an XS25. I don't think of it as excessive. It's just right for me. And there's a little plastic bit, so you know not to hold it by that end. That's bad. Don't hold it from that end. You need a little thing to put it in. And then the only other things are talking about like this sponge. So mostly when you buy an iron, it will come with something like this. So it's like, oh yeah, this is the like thing you put it in cool, and you'll get a little sponge, and you're supposed to wet this. And so when you've done your soldering, then you use the edge of the thing to kind of wipe off, you know, your iron and pop it in. I've used these for years, and there was a point where I read something, someone was like, they suck, you know, don't use these. What you need is one of these, which are these little like funky, jazzy, like wire wool things. And I must say, this is pretty sweet. Also, you get a rad collection of little like BBs inside of the thing. Because what you do is, instead of tamping it on wet sponges, which are going to, you know, it's going to basically cool down your iron, potentially dirty the tip of your iron. I mean, I may be being over the top here, but that's what I seem to have found. Whereas this, you're dabbing it into metal, so you're not cooling it down, and it just has a very nice abrasive quality without obviously scratching and ruining the finish of your iron. So I really recommend one of these. It's just a great solution for cleaning off the end, and then you stick it back in, having put a blob on, which is what I'm going to do. A lot of people are like, you don't need to do this, but I'm going to do it. Someone asked what type of solder I use, and the answer is I just use solder that I've got. Mr. Dave, who I was chatting to earlier, and may well be in the chat, was like, mate, get a lead-free solder. It's all about leaded solder. It's all about the lead. You may well be right. Perhaps leaded solder is like, you know, it's the good stuff after all. You know, gives you huff that stuff. You believe anything. But I don't think it matters. I'm sure it's great. All I would say, be mindful of the fact that there are different gauges of solder. Some are fat, some are thin. That's not a bad thing. It's just different. And it means that you're going to get a different amount of solder in your bits per blob, you know. And if you're doing surface mount stuff, and you should not be afraid of surface mount. I'm not going to cover surface mount here, but I have built a couple of things made by my friend James Carruthers of Nobots fame. Nobots double mix and double buff. Those are all surface mount kits, and they're really very straightforward. Like, once it's just a knack, like soldering is a knack. Soldering SMD is a knack, and actually it's much faster. Once you get the hang of it, you've got your little twizzlers, it's genuinely fine. It is quicker than doing through hole. So other things that are nice to have, we all make mistakes. I know I have. So it's nice to have a desoldering device. This is a really horrible cheap one, which when you use it sort of rips itself apart like this. Real high quality item. So yeah, this is it's terrible. It's just absolute garbage. But it's like £3. I think you should spend more than £3 on this device. And what it does is you sort of prime it, and basically once you have your part, if you're trying to remove a part, so you've made a mistake and you've put the wrong part in or something like that, what you do is you heat up the part, and then you use your solder sucker. When it is hot and flowing, you push the button and it sucks all of the solder off the part. It just like flies out as if by magic, and you are free of solder, and you can pull the part out, which is very nice, and is very useful, A, if you make mistakes, and B, also if you do repair. You know, I would say that repair is like one of the nicest things about this. Like, you build kits, and that teaches you the kind of soldering skills. Then once you have things like synthesizers, you know, which might be 30 years old, one thing about repair, that's an amazing thing of just reflowing solder joints. So for example, my Juno 60 had a dodgy transpose button where it would have an intermittent contact. And in short, I opened up the Juno 60, and then what you do is, if you look at a soldering joint, a solder joint, a good solder joint will look like a Hershey's Kiss. And I'm not American, but we've got Hershey's Kisses at garages. They look like little, like, fluted sort of triangles. I'll show you here. So that's a bad solder joint where it's all lumpy and squidgy. This is what it should look like. It should have this kind of wonderful, like, fluted quality because it's all wicked in and nice. And what happens is, as solder ages, it dries out, and you get this kind of point where if it's the PCB is stressed, like for example, you know, it's attached to a socket on the other end of these things. So you can imagine that there are forces at play when a socket, you know, you plug something in and you're jiggling it and jiggling it and jiggling it. Over time, you're stressing out the little solder joints, and then there can become a point where they crack. Probably not on something this new, but on something 30 years old, you get cracked solder joints. And in short, all you have to do to fix them is take a hot soldering iron and then reflow the joint. Reflowing is just literally heating it up so that the solder becomes wet again and letting go. And that's it. And what you can find is that it fixes the problem because you're getting an intermittent contact. And you can, if you use a magnifying glass, you can often actually see that there is a little crack in those joints. You can actually see a break in them. So reflowing solder joints and then desoldering parts allows you to do things like recap power supplies. That is replacing all of the capacitors in a power supply, which is generally considered good practice. I had breakfast with Ken Macbeth at Superbooth a couple of years ago, and we talked about this. And I was like, Ken, is there any sort of, you know, truth to the fact that if you know, people talk about recapping synths sort of brings them up to their glory. And I mean, it's true, parts do wear out, but he was like, you know, potentially you'll do more damage than good. It will sound different, and it might not be a different that you actually want. So he was like, but power supplies, that is something where you do just want the exact values of power to flow through a synth exactly as they were. So recapping power supplies is a good thing to do. Finally, you need some snippers. I have massive snippers, and these are just for cutting the legs of the parts off. You literally solder your bits, and then you cut off the legs when they're actually, you know, built, squidged into their little new homes. You snip off the legs. So you do need those. And then the other thing, you can also, by the way, there is desoldering wire, which I've got, or braid it's called, which is an alternative to suckers that suck and cost £3 and aren't worth the paper they're printed on. The way that this works is that you push this against the part and you heat up the joint. And basically, by heating up the soldering, this braid, it sucks the solder into the braid. And then you use your snippers and you just snip off the dead bit. So it's a way of sucking solder into the braid to get it away from the joint. So that's your bits. That's basically it. Heat things up. Oh, someone's saying you need flush cutters. Well, I've always managed. I have managed. And you'll watch me, hopefully, manage. I will do my best. These are massive. By the way, my wife has got some smaller snippers, but I don't know what they are. So I'm going to use my big snips, which are also rated for snipping 1,000 volts of snipping power. That's a lot of snipping power. More than I need. What else? No, that's it. That's basically it. So soldering isn't hard. It's a skill, and it's one that I think is worth the time to learn. And the trick, by the way, and I've said this a billion times, is buy kits. Little, inexpensive toy kits, not from places like Maplin because they don't exist anymore, but little kits will help you by practicing to solder. You can even just buy like, breadboards or not, is it breadboards? You know, the sort of Overa board, you know, like boards that are basically full of little holes like this. And then you could just buy lots of parts and just practice soldering part by part. But it's fun to use kits because you actually get something that does something at the end. So let's make a thing. So today I'm going to build these 15 IPS kits from DIYRE. And so DIYRE is a company that make DIY recording equipment. Believe that, you'll believe anything. No, it's true. And they make loads and loads of good stuff. And something that really piqued my curiosity a few years ago was their color palette system. Now, many moons ago, I used to do reviews for Future Music. Fun fact, especially when I very first started out in this whole thing, I used to read Future Music, and to be ending up like writing and doing reviews for it is just like wild and strange and crazy, but what a world we live in. And one thing I reviewed was the color palette module. from Black Market Modular, and I actually bought it afterwards. This is the one I bought, the review unit. So this, unfortunately, and this is a bit of a problem, is not available anymore. Clearly not such a well-known format, and maybe not so successful, but an amazing idea. And it does still exist, but it exists in 500 series. So you can get 500 series, and, you know, there are other ways of basically activating color palette stuff. But I have this, which is a kind of discontinued legacy module. Any Eurorack manufacturers who are interested in supporting the color palette format, you can. It's open source and groovy, and it will be amazing if you made a Eurorack module, because we perhaps don't need one that's got all the engineering bells and whistles of this, but what color palette offers is really cool. So what it offers is this. So the color palette is ostensibly a 3-part VCA, so which is to say it has 3 channels, and at their heart they're VCAs. But what they really are a way of injecting a tone color through the 3 channels. So, sorry, I'm just saying what. Oh, this is live. This is live, by the way. So yeah. Colours are colours, literally. They are things that can affect the tone colour of the things that you put through it. And there are loads and loads of different colours. And colours are open standard or open format. You can make your own. There's no rules. I've got a few here. So, for example, this is the Colour CV high pass filter. And this is literally just a high pass filter. And you see, it's like the whole little Wiener circuit on a little Wiener module. Which is amazing, because this is a Eurorack module, and then it has Eurorack or modules within it. So it's like the most meta thing ever, modules and modules. There are, in fact, you can get like transformer color palette modules, which therefore have a little transformer circuit insert. So you have a module within a module within a module, which I love. I don't know about you. So there are a few of these things. Various ones that I've got the Zvex for Solo, which is just the most ridiculous, crazy fuzz. The WMD Variac, and they all do different things. But the one that really piqued my curiosity was this one, which is the 15IPS card. So what this refers to is the idea of tape running at 15 inches per second. There is a particular sort of sound to 15 IPS tape. You get a bit of a kind of low end bump, as it were. It's kind of a resonant high pass. And there is a kind of like compression, like a sort of glue in your mix. And that just, I mean, why would you not want that? I want glue on my mix. I want head bumps and high passy things. That sounds great. And the idea is that you would run your whole mix through this, or individual parts. And just like using tape plugins, you know, using it on a single channel, you maybe wouldn't notice the effect, although you can if you smash it. But you absolutely notice it when you compound things. Like when you're, you know, when you've got like 15 tracks or 20 tracks that have all run through this, then there's a kind of whole, you know, there's a gestalt sort of sound. So this was the one that really piqued my curiosity. And I got sent it as a kit as part of the review, and I built it. And it's like the easiest, simplest, most ridiculous, you know, DIY kit ever. There's only like, whatever, 20 parts or something. It's stupendously easy. And it sounds great. If you can find like the old issue of Future Music where I reviewed it, I did samples of it. I ran the Atlantis through it and stuff, and it's great. And then fast forward a few years, and Peterson Goodwin, who's the guy at DIYRE, has a new version of this. So he has 15 IPS Mark II. So this is slightly upgraded. It is a little bit more expensive, but there's more parts to it. And Peterson's feeling is that the new version it's, you know, broader range and perhaps just a more refined sort of overall improvement. And I haven't heard it for obvious reasons. I haven't built it, so we probably should do that. And my intent is, I've got 2 of these things, big show off, and I want to use these as the output to my Eurorack modular synth. So there's loads more. I actually do have a couple more, and very kindly, Peterson sent me these, which are their tone lock compressor. Apparently, we think, as used by, what's that band? I can't think of the name. Oh my God, it's gone. You know that band that's got that really amazing sound? You know the one. Why can't I think of the names? No, it's because I'm on the spot. It'll come to me. But as used by very famous bands, and it's a really smashy compressor. And I was thinking it would be amazing to run this as like a New York style parallel bus compressor, basically. You know, run all my drums through this, but mixed like 25% with the rest. What's that? Oh, the song is Feels Like We Always Go Backwards. Come on, people. Feels like we only go backwards, baby. Da, 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 da. I shouldn't sing it too much, otherwise I'll get a copyright strike because it was so accurate. Not the Flaming Lips, the other one. You know, wonderful drum sound. Basically, they have that wonderful smashy drum sound, and it's that. So, yeah, building things. Should we build things? Okay. By the way, this is something that you got with the module, which is a blank color card. So you can actually roll your own circuits. Tame Impala Z. Thank you, mate. It was Tame Impala. Feels like we only go backwards. I wish I could go backwards and remember the name of Tame Impala. So yes, by the way, other recommended kits, everything music thing. Everything Tom Whitwell has ever made is wonderful. I'm going to say that unashamedly. I'm not paid. I don't care. It's great. This is a kit that I built years ago, the Turing machine, which is now, I think, a 2-panel or 2-sandwichy build. The Turing machine is a looping voltage thing, and the radio music is his like radio sampler module. I'll link to the video that I did for Future Music where I talk about this at length and do a full demo of the radio music whilst also like talking about soldering. It's like 2 videos in one. What good value? Probably one of the most important things you do is clear your bloody workspace, mate, you slob. So I'm going to try and do that. And so that I try not to make a bloody mess. We don't need this. I don't think we need that. We need these. I haven't got a tea. Can someone get me a tea? Mate, please, go on, get us a tea. Oh, I haven't got a tea. That's literally the thing that you need the most. So these, a lot of kits, and I want to big up, by the way, another company, thonk.co.uk, the people who sell Music Thing Modular. This sounds like a sponsored slot. It's not. It's not. Thonk.co.uk make really good kits. Their kits are super friendly. They've got all the things are like pre-bagged. It's a bit like HelloFresh, but for like module making. So a bit like this, you know, everything's labeled in clear. And Thonk make, you know, you can get Eurorack module kits, whereas it obviously is not. So big up Thonk. And bit of a scoop, Thonk will be carrying DIYRE stuff in the summer. So I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you that. I've just told you. They're going to be doing DIYRE. But we do need someone to make a Eurorack module of the Eurorack module of the, you know, the host. That would be ideal. So I should probably read the bloody instructions. Excuse me while I get my phone out. That's another copyright strike right there. Okay. So DIYRE, very cool. They come with really clear instructions. We can do this. You can see this. Can you see this? You can see this. You can see that. Yeah, you can see that. So, you know, the instructions are all on the internet. Absolutely amazing. So it tells you what to do and in what order. And most kits are like this. There's a kind of, an installation guide, and it literally is like Lego. It's great. So another thing which he does, which is a kind of pro tip, if you've got a massive kit and you've bought it and it does not come in little bags where everything is neatly sorted for you and you've had to buy all the bits separately, you may find it very helpful to do this, which is make a kind of reference sheet where you've got all your parts or the names of your parts laid out, and then you use masking tape, it's pronounced masking, and then you stick the parts down in, labeled so that you've got sheets of paper that have all your bits, like this is X resistor, that's Y resistor. So it's all just like laid out and pre-prepared. Just because if you end up with a bag like resistors, for example, they use little coloured sort of rings. You probably won't be able to see this very easily, but they use little coloured rings. And if you're colourblind, that will make it very hard to determine what they are. So some pre-sorting may well be necessary, and it's just generally good practice. Today, though, we don't really need to do it because Peterson, sweet man, has done it all for us. What a wonderful, wonderful man he is. And as I say, I've built thump kits. They tend to as well. So the idea is that you would basically take, you know, sort through your little bags and, yeah, lay everything out. But I'm not going to do that because I don't think I need to. But I am going to read the bloody manual because, you know, that's what you do. So we can use the identification sheet, but instead I'm going to go and insert the standoffs. So this is bag one. Let's insert the standoffs. And I'm going to open this nicely and I'm going to tear it. My dad, when he gets into a bag of bread, has this terrible habit of just ripping the bag open in the centre, which is just a savage's way of doing it. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not a savage. So we're not cool with that. So now I'm looking and like, which way up is it? It's that way up. So insert standoffs. Note there are two different ends on the plastic standoffs. Oh, bloody hell. You're right. Okay, good point. There are two different ends. The locking end has tabs with a right angle to prevent them from being removed after installation, while the non-locking end has smooth tabs. Insert the locking end standoffs from the bottom of the PCB. Yes, he's right. If you look, like there's a sort of, it's not focusing, but there's basically, there is a way that this is meant to go in so that it never comes out and the other end is meant to come out. So I guess we do that. This is going off to a difficult start. Push. Ooh, that is stiff. Excuse me. Oh my god. These are really hard to get in. Whoa, I did it. Mate. What a guy. Really hope I did get this in the right way, but Peterson seems to... Yeah, definitely that is the way. So, yeah. Probably if I like put this in all four of them and just like smashed it against the table, it would go in properly. Oh my god, that's really hard. Oh, there we go. Makes a nice sound as well. Luckily I've got it on record. Ow, it's really hurting my fingers. I'm a sissy. There's a bloody war on. It's not the worst thing ever, but oh my god, that is really hard. Wow. Folks, I don't know what to say. I thought I was a big strong guy. Apparently not. Oh look, it's like with Lego, you get a cheeky extra. You know, when you end up with like extra bits in a Lego kit, like, oof, come on mate. My wife is coming downstairs. I wonder if she brought me a tea. Ah, don't deserve a tea. Oh my god. Wow. I done that the right way around. Please say I have. Yeah, I have. Man, that was really hard. That's genuinely the most... I think that was the most difficult part of this build. Okay. Okay, so we pushed in the little things. Populate the 8-pin header. I'd love to. There it is. So this is the... I wonder if I can... Can I do this so you can actually see what I'm doing? There we go, sort of. Insert the 8-pin header into the holes marked CON1. That says CON1. That's what that is. So this is the little funky bit that feeds in and actually delivers the goodness. Make sure to place the short silver pins through the bottom of the PCB so the PC rests on the black plastic posts. Yep. Solder the header from the top of the PCB. And do not trim the leads afterwards. When he says top of the PCB, I'm not sure what he means, except to say obviously it's the other side because otherwise we wouldn't be able to do this. So, this is exciting, isn't it? We actually need to solder something. Well, I better plug in my bloody iron then, hadn't I? Okay, moment of truth. So, oh, excuse me while I drink. I really wish I had a tea. It would just literally, I mean, life would be so much better. But anyway, can't have everything. Can't have everything. So I'm plugging it in. It's not plugged in. It's plugged in. That was a big moment. Nothing quite like hot soldering iron near my phone. So yeah, this is the time-honoured way of checking your soldering iron is warm. You just press it against your skin and that tells you if it's hot or not. God, this is like... I'll tell you what though, like it wasn't an expensive iron. The only thing I would say is that like, the ones with the soldering station have got like the wire that is actually going into the base. And it's just kind of the dangly nature of it. It's dangling down and it's like raising off the thing. This is not ideal. Maybe I could put my ridiculous snippers there. No, I need those. Folks, it's hard. Jesus, that's going to just fly out. I'm going to move this. Come on. There we go. That's better. Well, I've moved my whole table. There we go. Even better. Now I'm looking at this and I'm like, make sure I get this so that I've not got it on an angle. Death when you do that. Then you have to like, well, you don't desolder it, you just make it reflow it. What's the word? You make it go wet again? Wow. I don't know what the phrase is. How are we doing? Warm, but not hot. Yeah. What are folks saying? ASMR soldering. Yeah. I hate ASMR. It really winds me up. Yes. Oh. Marek says, stick the cable to the side of the table with tape. That is a good idea. Fuck! You did that, Marek. That was you. I mean, it's a good idea in principle, but I would say probably it's something I should have done before I put the hot iron on. Let's leave it. Fuck. It's not a good build unless you've singed your hand. Don't worry, I didn't singe anything. I actually never... no, I haven't burned myself, actually. Nor have I allowed an iron to fly out into my lap. But I have laid awake at night thinking about whether I will. Yeah, God. Yes. I really hope I can do this so you can actually see me soldering. Otherwise, this whole thing's going to be for naught. Soldering for naught. Can you see this? Okay. Aha! So, I just flicked off the solder. And then if I look, I iron, maybe, if I look, the good stuff. This room is not ventilated at all. As it should be. I don't want to let any of that go outside. I don't want to huff it all. So, I just applied new solder. I'm wiping the little tip. And then, I'm angling the chisel. I'm pushing it against the part. And then I am... We're going to make a big zero of it. Comme ça. This is so far away, I actually can't even see if I've done a good job of this or not. Boom. Yes, mate. That is a soldered little Hershey's Kiss. Wait, it's a fuzzy Hershey's Kiss. There you go. Look at that. Delicious. Delicious. yeah, so I think that's one of the things that I'm going to forget to say later. That is actually a golden solder joint. I mean, really great. Very pleased with my work. Yeah, so basically, one important point is at the end of a build, and this is just, I'm going to, it will happen by itself, but if you're new to this, check everything twice, 3 times, 4 times, like, just triple check your work, that you put the right parts in, and mainly also that you've soldered all the bits in properly. It's very easy to do a whole like build and then realize that you've you've actually missed a part entirely, or you've not soldered something in. In the case of radio music, I actually had 2 parts where you've got little joints that are very close to each other where they're touching, and so you had to like reflow the solder and just jiggle it aside so that they stop touching, stuff like this. But I guess the main takeaway is that it doesn't not work. It just it doesn't work, but it doesn't break. So by the way, I put a little blob of solder maybe as I'm being extra careful, and so it's in there with a blob of solder so it doesn't tin over. Did it just say to put 1 in? Yeah, it says solder. Oh, it just says solder it in. I mean, that's what we need to do, isn't it? So, I hope you can see this. Folks, I'm going to stop talking, and otherwise we'll be here all night. Oh. Do you know what? I'd like it to stop moving. I've reminded myself of another point, which is little things like these little gadgets. This is actually a holder, but I've just adapted it to be a magnifying glass so I can see what the hell I'm doing, although I don't think I need it. But other small mod cons, such as blue tack. So just use blue tack to blue tack the part, in a bit that isn't getting hot, obviously. Just blue tack it down. Look at that. Oh. Okay. Oh my God, it's just a little turn. It's really hard. This is miles away from me, but. So I'm trying not to leave the soldering iron on too long. It's like good practice not to do that. I just leave it on for just as long as you need to melt the solder to the part and stuff. How are we looking? Oh yeah, looking like we've soldered a bit in place. Yeah, mate. Mate, wait. No. Okay, there. Look at that. Great. What's next, Peterson? Resistors, bag 2. These things are futile. Bend resistors. Bend resistors so that they are 90 degrees. Resistor sorting made easy. Okay, so this is going to take a while. Basically, resistors are color-coded. And so they're all mixed up in this little bag. And we need to look at their colors. And look at this. Well, it's a bit messed up on my phone, but if I push red and then orange and then blur, is this going to tell me the value? Yeah, 2223R. So it tells you the value, and then if you look on the PCB, it's labeled so that the values are there. 470R, for example, on like this resistor here, so you would then be able to work out what goes where. So that's what we need to do. This is very convenient the way it does it. But let's bend them. Dun, 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 dun. Oh my god. So are you talking about people talking about like iron burns in the comments? Greg says sometimes these burns make a hard white piece of skin like an instacallus and then eventually just leave a hole in your skin. That's awful, mate. I'm trying to avoid it. You're all like insisting that I need smaller snips, bottle base, but I don't need smaller snips, they're fine. I mean, I'm trying to think if they ever have actually been genuinely inconvenient. Not. They're fine. So we're bending these little leggies so that they're ready to place. Has anyone done any music recently? I mean, this is an important thing, isn't it? My plan is tomorrow with the... If I only build one of these, which is likely at this point, given how things are going, which is slow, then I may just do my set. Basically, I want to build this, and then tomorrow night I want to do a live stream jam on the modular and run it through this. Run it through the 15 IPS, because this is my plan. Use the 15 IPS cards as live sort of mastering tools, basically, which I think will be cool. If I only build one, I'll just do it in mono. It's techno, isn't it? Don't need stereo. All right, so sort them. I mean, you're just showing me in the picture which colours are which. That's fine by me. Can I just look? I mean, maybe I shouldn't rely on that. Okay. Guess there's no shortcut. We just got to actually do this. Oh god, I hate this bit. What even is it? I just think I'll use this. I actually do need to. Doesn't help. It's a terrible magnifying glass. FML. Is it like brown? Or is it purple? Ugh. Ooh. Actually, oh yeah, I can just use my phone's light. Nope, that doesn't help either. Oh yeah, wait. Oh my god, it's so hard. Brown. Brown. Orange. Is that black? Why would you have purple? I mean, that's just so easily confused with black. I think that's like blue. Brown, orange, blue, black. Green? No. What? Brown, orange, blue, black. Okay. I think that's right. I think that's 136. Because this is saying 136 BTW. So let's have a look. That's where we find that there is no 136. Well, this is gratifying. Anyone else got any tips for finding resistors more easily? I mean, I'd like to just look at the picture. That would be better. Ew. Got like blue tack everywhere. Oh, mate. What an absolute dog's dinner. That's the only problem with the blue tack. This is like old blue tack that's got all melty. Can I just cheat and use the... So where's the... Where are the ones that have got... Yeah, that one. Green, purple, black. Blue, brown. Yeah, 470R, mate. In you get. So, Having cheated somewhat in order to find this, that is, you just look at the picture that he has provided that actually shows where all the resistors are. It is literally a case of just feeding them in, pushing them down, comme ça, and then turning it over and twisting their little legs outwards so that their legs are out, they stay in place, and then you're going to solder them, and then you're going to use the mega snips. We're going to mega snip them. Yeah, someone points out this hole in this table is just not helping. I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, it's just a death trap. As soon as one of these goes down, this video is over, folks. God, this is like, you know, where's Wally? But really, really boring. Maybe I should have pre-sorted these. This is what they would do on Blue Peter. By the way, resistors can go in any direction. You don't have to put them in one particular way. There's like a band that I can barely see there. Is that like... It's one of the other problems that you sometimes find is that, like, when you've got light that is bright, it becomes really hard to actually see the parts. Oh well. Find me with the ones with, like, yeah, the light green at the end. They're easier. Hooray. Green, purple, black, black, brown, R6. Yoink. Okay. Only 4,000 more to go. Wait, no, I don't like that one. I'm going to do it last. Probably yourself if I actually had some light in this room. Brown, orange, black, black, brown. Boom. R11. Yoink. I am going to double check this though, because this is easily gotten wrong. Or easily done wrong. Easily messed up. Especially when I feel the eyes of the world watching me. I did it to myself. I have no one to blame. So, brown, orange, black, red, brown. Boom. R13. It's actually sort of purple at the end. It's 220. In you get. Oop. Yeah, I know. Someone's like, brave man doing this in on a live stream. Well, you know, just want to have you with me. The module is a 15 IPS color card, which is a color palette module. It basically makes your stuff sound like it was smashed through tape. I should say that there is no tape in the module for obvious reasons. But, oh, shoot. I should also be like, I'm such a dumbass, folks. It's because I'm talking. I probably should try and find the other 100Ks while I'm... Like when I've successfully identified a part is find its siblings. Nope. Yes. I think that's right. Brown, orange, black, black, brown. Brown, orange, black, black, brown. That's 100K. Actually, it's about 1p. These are the hardest bits. Picking resistors. So Scott says, I checked out the website and it doesn't seem like it goes into Eurorack modules. If you're just joining us, these are insert cards for this thing, which is a DIY RE color palette module. And basically, this module takes these little cards. And so if you, the problem is this module is discontinued. There are other sockets that you can plug them into, like other devices, like 500 series and things like this, that take color cards. And so I happened to be fortunate. I bought this years ago when they still made them. But I am asking around to try and hopefully find people who might build one. Like, I think there's, I mean, it's one of those things like you say, oh, you know, there's a market for it. But the reality is there's, you know, it's very easy to say, oh, there's a market for it, you know, but it doesn't mean there is necessarily. It's just my enthusiasm for this particular card and like the possibilities of the format. Just blindsiding. This is really compelling TV, isn't it? I mean, God. Yeah, I think someone's saying you can get them secondhand. Hopefully, yeah. Folks, sorry, this is super friggin' boring. Not my normal high-paced entertainment. I am really struggling to identify these. Boom. I think I found it, but I think it's missing a band. I think it's R3. I think it's 22K. I'm going to put it in for now, and then we're going to check our work at the end. So that's sorting paper. Oh, I'm a fucking idiot. It says on the paper that I said I wouldn't use. You know that phrase about like doing as you say and not as you do? Yeah, that phrase. Anyway. I'm an idiot. Welcome. Okay, so still, this does mean that I actually have to identify the resistors correctly. And they're fucking hard. Like, these little monkeys are really hard to identify. But this is designed to help us identify the parts. So, fair enough. Sorry, Pearson. I'm a slob. So, brown, red, black, brown. So, brown, red, black, purple, yellow? No. Brown, red, black, green, brown. Is it that? Brown, red, black, purple. Or red, red? God, it's really like... Well... Problem is the colours are so like vastly tiny that it's really hard to identify whether you're missing the colours. There's a lot of kind of like, you know, like there's that amazing optical illusion where it's like 2 shades of grey. It's the 2 shades of grey illusion. I think it's red, red at the end, which to say it's that one, brown, red, black. Fuck it. 22K. R3 and R10. R3 and R10. Where is R10? There's R10. That's R3. Did I get it right? No, didn't. This is why we check our work, folks. That is brown, red, black, green. Brown is R7. Cool, what's this one? Let the record say I'm holding it really close to my face like I'm blind. Black, sorry, brown. Brown, is that brown, black, black, black? Or is it purple? My God, it's so hard. Okay. Yeah. It is brown, black, 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 brown. Which is R8. Which is also a drum machine. It's apparently really good, the R8. Although Chris Midiera told me once that the problem with the R8 is that it's like velocity sensitive, but the pads aren't velocity sensitive. Full story, bro. Right. My long resistor slog is. It continues. Brown, red, black, black, brown. Brown, red, black, black, brown. R5. It's easier when you actually use the documentation that the really nice man provides. I'm such an idiot. Oh, mate, this one's got gold on it. Brown, gold, black, green, blue. I think it's the only one with gold. Brown, red. Brown, red. Oh, yeah. Oh, brown, gold, black, grey, blue. Yeah. Grey? Jesus. It's just like so easy to get wrong. Honestly, if you were colorblind, I do not understand how you could possibly do this. I mean, it's just like such an enormous disadvantage. And I'm sure, I know there's apps like, you know, Be My Eyes and stuff where people can help you identify what color things are. But these are, I'm literally having to hold this to my eye like I'm, you know, I'm in Uncut Gems or something. Brown, red, black, red, red. Brown, red, black, red, red. Brown, orange. Maybe it's orange. Brown, red, black, red, red. It's like a red, red. Brown, red, black, red, red. That's it. It's R3 and R10. Oh, you mean like the one you just placed? Oh, is R10 wrong? Is that what I established? Yeah, that's right. So there's R3, is there? Oh wow, 8-Bit Guy is colorblind. He uses a multimeter. Do you know what? Actually, I have a multimeter and I don't know how to use it to identify resistors. That's actually something I should have mentioned. Multimeters. Where the fuck is it? Yeah, here we go. This thing. I have one. But I don't really know how to use it. I've used it for testing continuity of cables, which can be helpful. But yeah, you can use it to identify resistors. If I was cleverer, I'd probably do that. But I'm not. This is why my sort of synth repair is limited to sort of extremely basic things that I can just kind of fudge my way through. I managed pretty well. I got a KYK 1M broken and I fixed it by just like bridging broken traces on the power inlet. Brown, brown, black, purple, red. Brown, was it brown, brown? Brown, brown, black, purple, red. R2. R2. R2 data. Mate, guys, folks, gals, we are brown, purple, black, purple, green. Brown, purple, brown, ending in green. Nothing ends in green. Yellow. Brown, red, black, purple, yellow then? Yeah, mate. R12. Oh. You get a phone call from DivKid. I should answer this. Hello, Ben. You're on live speaker to the world.
Yes, amazing, because the live chat asked me to ring you.
Really?
Yeah, they're shouting at you that there's an app for the magnifying, which would be your phone.
Is there? What do you mean?
Yes. Let me scroll back up the chat. I joined quite late, and they were like, yeah, Ben, save the day, ring Mylar. I'm like, I'm not going to ring him midstream. They were like, yeah,
of course you can. Don't be ridiculous. Mate, I wish you'd run me earlier. You would have like added some much needed like entertainment to the sort of wasteland that is the last like 30 minutes of this stream where Muggins attempts to... I'm going to have to check these as well, which is going to be really, really fun. Christ.
I can't find it now.
So what is
your
it?
Your phone has a magnifying app, Automat Music.
Do you mean that for identifying
Maybe
resistors?
They just mean the camera.
That is true.
And zoom.
Yeah, that is true.
Anyway,
I've also
for those telling me to ring, consider that public are served.
How are you?
I've done my job.
How are you doing, Ben? What's the crack? Have you, by the way, have you got any tips for building module kits? What's your sort of approach? Do you do DIY?
Odd little bits here and there. It's nice sometimes. A beer and a bit of a build, but I don't do it very often.
I haven't got a beer or a tea. It's not okay.
I found Hoegaarden in normal sized bottles for the first time in years. I do enjoy an odd Hoegaarden.
Yeah. Also like Hoegaarden, that sort of like Weiss beery.
Yeah,
like
it's not something you're gonna drink a lot of, but which is why I don't want the big bottles that I see all over.
One of the things I would say is like drinking whilst soldering like sorts out my shaky hands. It's actually not that shaky, but sometimes when I've got real shaky hands, like beer, actually it stops it. I remember reading a story, I don't know if this is true, but like, you know, in Russia that they would like drink vodka while soldering the circuits of like rockets and things so that they had steadier hands. I don't know if that's actually true. I need some vodka.
It's very stereotypically Russian, which is maybe vaguely also racist.
Yeah, exactly. It's a massive generalization. But I mean, they do drink vodka in Russia. I mean, it's, you know, it's true. And I'm sure it's delicious. So, Ben, I'm going to have to identify...
I will let you get crack on. I've done the chat room, the service. They were egging me on.
Thanks, everyone.
And I thought, the phone's going to be off. But yes, magnifying app on your phone, whatever that means.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ben.
Catch soon.
Love you. Bye. That was Ben Wilson. Mate, what do you mean magnifying app on my phone? I'm going to just like, where's the camera? Oh, yeah. Oh, bloody hell, that is good, isn't it? That's definitely better. Although, I suppose if you put on... if I put on... No, you can't get light and the thing at the same time. Okay. Alright, I'm going to just... This is going to be really fucking boring, but I apologise in advance. I mean, it's already been really boring. But I'm going to check this. And this is because this is what you should do, is check that you've got everything right. So I'm going to turn up my brightness loads. I am going to use my phone. I think it's on... Oh my god, is it on like night mode? Oh, it is doing that. Oh my god. How do you turn off the like... the whole like... brightness, true tone, turn all that off, night shift off, because night shift, yeah, that's it, like it's changing the colors of my screen. Not what I want. Amazing. So R1 should be, chat room says use a multimeter. Folks, that would assume I know how to use a multimeter. R1, I'll do this so you can kind of see it. R1, yellow, purple, black, black, brown. Yellow, purple, black, black, brown. Yes. R6. Where are you? Yellow, purple, black, black, brown. Yes, correct. If I had a pen, I would write on there, but or go systematically. So R2, red, purple, black, brown, brown. Yes, correct. R3, red, red, black, red, brown. R3 is, oh my God, that is so good. You're so right. R3 is red, red, black, red, brown. Yeah, amazing. And that's also R10. Red. Oh wait, brown, red. Yep. No, that's wrong. Isn't it? Or is it? No, brown, red, black, red, red. Just the problem is sometimes the colours just aren't obvious, like, or it looks slightly purpley just because of the way that the light is falling on it. It's a real like gotcha. All right, R4, brown, gold, black, grey, blue. Yep, absolutely spot on. R5, I will do this. Can you see? So R5, brown, black, black, red, brown. Yep. R7. Brown, green, black, red, brown. Yeah, that's right. R8. Brown, black, black, black. R8 is the most like sort of brutal. Black, brown, black, 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 brown. Very black and brown. 1970s, the R8. The R9 is brown, black, brown, orange, black, black, brown, yeah. Brown, orange, actually also quite 1970s. And R11 should be the same. So it should be R11, God, brown, it's been a long day. Brown, black, black, orange, brown, yeah. So, and then R12, yellow, purple, black, red, brown. Yeah. R13. I'm actually going to double check to make sure I haven't done anything stupid here. Red, red, black, orange, brown. Folks, thank you for the tip on using my camera. That's actually amazing. It's right. That's it. That's ridiculous. That's taken like half an hour to do all those parts, but it is the most amount of parts on the little PCB, in fairness. And the problem is with resistors, whilst you can get them in anyway, it's so easy to get wrong. And then your thing won't work. So yeah, thank you for being patient. For those who've duked it out, you are the true believers. I appreciate you. Thank you. So yeah, Greg says I use blank resist. Need to, but don't care. I'm going to get my trusty blue tack. Blue tack. Don't have it just. Can you see what I'm doing? Right, let's stick them down forever. Can I actually hold? Oh, I actually probably should hold that using the little bloody bit on the end. I'm such an idiot. Oh, doing a pig there of that. I would have turned it round ideally. Excuse me while I do turn it round to make it easier for myself. Oh, I've made a real pig's ear of that. Scheisse. We'll look at it at the end. I think it'll be okay. Made up for it. That one was absolutely amazing. Actually, I'm just going to do it this way and then I'm going to turn it around. Mate, there's a textbook. It's like Japan in the... It's like building in 808. It's 1981. I'm just some seasoned pro. Paranoid Retinning. That's the name of my new EP. I'm just looking at the solder joints to see if I've done this right. If I've got Hershey's Kisses or if I've got something that isn't Hershey's Kisses. Big long. I watched all your video. I totally screwed that one up. Come on, do that again. I would be like leaning over, but then I would get in the way of the shot so I can actually see what I'm doing. Also, you get my big bald head. Fun fact, and I'm sure that many of the people are doing in this whole world of self-isolation, is I finally shaved my head. So I basically look like, you know, I look like I'm ready to pose for a resident advisor, you know, like some techno guy. But yeah, I'm a bald guy now. It's kind of novel. It's like finally time to just buzz the hair. And it's good, actually. It's just weird getting used to your... you know, getting used to the new person in the mirror is taking a few days. And you're like, oh, is my head really that shape? But it is. How are we doing? Is this working? Excuse me. Ooh. We lost the... Excuse me. Well, I just double check the chat is working. I'm not seeing the chat, so I hope this is working. Hang on, give me 2 seconds. I think if I reload this, it will still work. I really hope it will. Yeah, sorry, I just had to reload the chat. Apologies. I hope this still works. Yeah. Yes, I shaved my head. Sorry if people were leaving mean or possibly encouraging comments. Thank you for your mean comments. Thank you for your mean comments. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's good. It's like, it's about time. It's just like it took this natural disaster to be like, you can't go to the barbers, so if you want to like not look like Krusty the Clown, then you're going to have to do it. And it's the lesser of many evils. Hello, Automat. He says, I can't believe that I'm watching someone else solder in a live stream. Self-isolation has taken its toll. Well, mate, I know where you're coming from, but you brought it on yourself. And I mean, it's just like, why not? There are niches for everything. It's like Tom Whitwell would say, it's just amazing. There's just anything you're interested in, you can find a YouTube video about it. And I hope that the very front end of this video, that is what's going on here. Am I oxidizing? The front end of this video will particularly, hopefully, be helpful. The back end less so. That's some compelling content. But hey, you can do whatever you want with your time. You don't need to. You're here of your own volition. But yeah, if anyone's thinking about it, I do recommend buzzing. Just do it. Cut your hair off, mate. I had the trimmers for years. I bought them probably 10 years ago. And funnily enough, as time marched on and ravaged my hairline, I thought, do you know what? Even though I don't really use these, I'm going to hang on to them because there will be a day where I need them. That day was 2 days ago. Yeah. Right, another talking point, something that I think needs to be solved is why do you all Americans say solder? Solder, not solder. I mean, do you actually have an L in the word solder when it is written in American? Because if so, you're saying it wrong. Like you are literally saying it wrong. Like it's solder. There's an L. Solder. 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 Yeah. Like Americans will say solder. Solder. SODDUR. Whereas it's like, it's solder. There's an L. You can't just ignore the L. Like, Psalm. What's the missing Psalm? PS Psalm. It's missing, it's the P. But Psalm. You pronounce the L, don't you? Oh, I've done it. Well, that was fun. So, tinning the tip, and back it goes in the little cradle. Alright, what we got? Oh, what we've got is like really grubby bootac. We get my like... Well, I should just use my phone, shouldn't I? And this is what we've established. If you've taught me anything, it's use your bloody phone. Checking all my work is really fun then. So what I'm doing here is just, oh, yeah. So for example, because I'm talking to the internet, I've missed the fact that I haven't soldered these parts. Soldered. I've not soldered those parts. In fact, actually, there's a number of parts I haven't soldered. Jesus effing flip. It's because you're all talking to me. I missed more than one. I missed loads. This is where we check our work. Well, I think we can probably establish that I'm not building two of these things tonight, seeing as it's taking me an hour and a half to just even do one. So I'm just out of practice. I think if I build a second one, it would be faster, but I'm not doing it tonight. Which definitely does mean that we are going to do the mix in stereo, in mono tomorrow, which I think is also a good, that's a good experiment too. I generally do it in stereo, and it's like, stereo is just so like wonderful and glorious. It's like a cheat. So we're going to do it in mono, glorious mono, like a true techno, so that should be. So, I don't know why I'm using this. Get my phone out. Someone quotes Eddie Izzard. In America you say herb. In England we say herb. Because there's a fucking H in it. That is correct. There is. Yep. Yep. Few dodgy looking blobs. But it's... Bloody missed one. Oh, I'm such a doof. There's a real blob there. Check your work. Check your work. Be systematic. In fact, I missed two. Yeah. Because this thing was in the way. This. Someone's like, pronounce the H in Thames. Thames. You do. Did you hear it? Thames. Not Thames. Thames. Okay, they do sound quite similar, I will admit. Come here, mate. Nope. Bloody heck, he's done it. Amazing. Finally, also feeling very gratified to be using this little thing here, which is called a stream deck, which I bought for doing like different angles in streams. You know, push the little buttons and it's like got little screens built in. Absolutely wonderful. It's a bloody gadget, and I'm just glad I'm actually using it. All righty. Folks, I've done it. I've only bloody done it. I've soldered all the parts. So then what you do is you take the largest snippers, and it only works if you use the largest snippers that can be, that you can procure, and then you snip the bits off. And to those doubters, the haters who said, you know, you need flush snips. What's this? Oh, what am I doing? Oh, did it come off? Yeah, totally did. Boom, in your face. See you later, suckers. Feel that leverage, or is it leverage? This is really going downhill. Snip the bits off. I actually didn't check the manual. You know, maybe I shouldn't have snipped the bits off, but there's no reason not to. Wouldn't it be really funny if I, like, when Ben was phoning me, Div Kid, that I just like, you know, muted it without, like, and you would all know that it was him phoning in, and I just muted him, like, just callously blanked him, and it would actually be on, it would be live to the world. Everyone would have been able to see it. It would have been quite funny, actually, is what it would have been. Love Ben. Ben Div Kid. I'm sure you all know. He's a great and insanely hardworking man. And how the bloody hell he does it. Got a kid and somehow makes amazing quantities of videos. He's an inspiration. I don't know, genuinely don't know how he does it. Okay, so look, all the bits. We've soldered. Yeah, he says I'd have laughed. I hope you would. Not scum. Bloody prick. Right. Okay. Well, that's it, isn't it? Oh no, there's all these other bits and bobs that we have to solder. Come on, mate. Oh. Like, you know when your phone doesn't unlock? I'm just like, did I get a little like mark on my phone, or you know, on my hand? Okay. Someone's like, you should have used a pair of metal shears. Definitely. So, next stage. Turn down the brightness. You can actually see this. Solder resistors. Solder the resistors to the possible. Oh, sorry. Observe good soldering technique. Now you tell me. Heat the pad and lead for the lead. Using lead solder for 2 to 3 seconds. Apply a small bit, and then continue to heat for 2 to 3 seconds. Yes. So you heat. You leave it on for a little bit whilst it's on. They should be shiny and joint. Shiny and joint. They should be shiny. I hope they are. Trim them. We did. Diodes in bag 3. Where's bag 3? Oh, thank God. Jesus. Bag 3. Diodes. Place each diode so that the line on the component matches the line on the pucker. Double check the orientation, then solder and trim. Note that there are 2 smaller diodes. These should be placed in positions D1 and D2. Cuckoo. Lord Cuckoo has joined. I will answer your question. He's like, I came in halfway. Cuckoo, you came in, you avoided the sort of 45 minutes where I populated the resistors, and you come to the good bits. I'm building a color palette module, which makes my modular sound like it's being smashed through 15" per second tape through this module, the color palette. But I wanted to build 2 for stereo, but since it's taken me like all evening to get this far, I think that ain't gonna happen. So I think we're gonna have a mono set, and I'm gonna play tomorrow night through this module. So there you go, practicing what I preach. I hope you're well, Cuckoo, by the way. Mr. Cuckoo is a YouTuber and a live musician. I'm always in awe of the way that he can just play with like anything, and sort of has made a kind of really made a name for yourself, like playing with tiny setups. Like, it's incredible, like with the smallest amount of equipment doing like the most amount of music. It's yeah, it's amazing. And I'm bringing a modular which is like having about 70 different things all smashed into one case. So it might look like one thing, but it's like having 50 different things. It's ridiculous. Okay. So Nick asks, is this only available for 500 series? Yeah, basically it is at the moment. This is a discontinued module made by Black Market, but we're hoping, I mean, I hope that there will be people who will eventually make Eurorack, inserts, and it's super dumb. Like, there's nothing magical about what these do. Do you know what I mean? Like, the module has more to it, and I don't want to go into it now, but the module has a few bells and whistles. I think it could have none of the bells and whistles and still be just as good and allow you to smash stuff through these cards. Yeah. Diodes. Diodides. Place diodes so that each line on the component matches. Look, it's sort of down here as well. Look, you can see the little, there they are. And it's also partly, I think it's these diodes, that these germanium, I believe it uses a germanium diodes. It uses germanium diodes to create the sort of 15 IPS bumpness. And whilst resistors have got no orientation, these you do have to place in the correct direction. And if you can see, I'm going to bring the screen close up, that I need to get these so that they go in the little holes the right way. The right way round. Like this. Or I did a cuckoo there. I can't do those sound effects. You've been doing it far longer and are far better at it. Some go one way, the other goes the other way. Some go one way, others go the other way. I wonder why. So this is, and I think that brings up a very important point, is all you need to know how to, to build kits like this is to be able to follow instructions, even if it means spending 45 minutes putting your resistors in place. You don't actually need to understand how they work. To quote Donald Sutherland, I just drive them. I don't know what makes them work. And that's true of me. I have absolutely no idea how they work. I mean, I have a sort of layman's understanding of, what components do to a very limited degree. But I don't understand circuit design, and you don't need to either to build these things. You just actually need to follow instructions. The bit that I really hate is building things where you don't have all the parts provided for you and labelled and sort of in kits and bags and stuff. Doing it the hard way and actually putting your own sort of orders together. That scares me, because I just never know what parts to get. There's always so many variants. So I rely on other people to do bill of materials. Yeah. Yeah. Current Fantasy says, I've yet to do my own DIY. This scares me the way that Eurorack scared me before I dived in. Not sure if this is helping. I hope that this, if you watch this video from the beginning, I don't know if you've been here for the whole shooting match, but don't be afraid. Like, this is easy. I'm just taking my sweet time, and it's taking a lot longer because I'm trying to show you and talk through what I'm doing as I'm doing it. I was actually concentrating. I'd like to think I would have done this quicker, but hey, let's not make any assumptions here. I've got cheeky extras. Where are these bad boys going? Oh God, are they cheeky extras? At this point, folks, I'm triple, quadruple guessing. I think they're cheeky extras. There's some little ones to put in. And then we can solder these in place. So one of the benefits of doing live streams from home, especially in the case of performing music, is that I can bring and put together setups that I would just categorically never be able to do in a real live setting. Like, for example, and what I'm thinking about is accompanying my modular with some other stuff tomorrow. And namely, I'm thinking like it will be really fun to have like the Juno. But actually, I've got the ASM Hydrasynth here. I did a live stream on the Hydrasynth the other day, which I can link to. But it would be cool to use the Hydrasynth. And I've got somewhere... I've got a MIDI gal, which is like the sort of scale quantizer. And I was going to use keystep, MIDI gal, and actually the Hydrasynth's got its own built-in scale quantization. So if I can tune the modular to the Hydrasynth, which should be possible, then it would be fun to use that as part of the set. Okay, when rereading the instructions. Place each diode so the line on the component matches the line on the pickup. Did it. Double check the orientation. I was careful when I put it in. I'm sure it's fine. We're getting sloppy. Time has passed. I'm like, oh, I don't care anymore. Tell you what though, it's quite hard when these are really close to each other to get their little leggies in. I'm just going to do one end first. It's burnt. Cool. It's fine. Oh, no, little bits falling out. Ooh. Greg says, the first kit I built was an oscilloscope. Mate. Like a little kit. Not like a massive hulking sort of Heinbach oscilloscope, I assume. I'm actually holding it for 2 to 3 seconds afterwards, like I was told to. Aha! Did it. It's quite good when you do that. That's probably why they say to do it. Barney Rubble says, the fun is fixing the parts you break. That is true. I would say like it's satisfying fix, you know, building anything, like you have a sense of ownership over it. By far one of the two most satisfying things were fixing the Kawai K1M and it was just literally when traces break, you know, the little traces, you can remake them with a little bit of wire, like, you know, using the end of one of these things, or, you know, using a bit of wire, which is what I did. And it's just like plumbing. It's just like I can see that these parts need to talk to each other and that the connection between them is broken. So I'll just make that connection with something, and it will work. And it did. And it's like, oh yeah, that's so satisfying. Especially when I bought it on eBay broken for 50 quid, which is perhaps more than, you know, it'd be nice to get it for nothing if it was broken, or like for 15 quid or something. But I was just happy to have that synth. It's what I wanted for ages. But actually, probably the best thing I ever did was I bought this ridiculous mixer, a SEC 1882, I think it is, my mixer. Apparently, so they say, as used by Orteca. I think that's just what people who sell SEC 1882 mixers try and tell you to make you buy them. Which is like a sort of pre-Soundcraft mixer, and it didn't really work very well. Like it basically would sort of power up and then just go a bit haywire, and it's mad. It comes with a completely separate power supply, which actually it had like fans in it, and I was reading the service manual, and I was like, the service manual doesn't mention fans. Why are there fans in here? And they'd been added. Someone had added fans at some point, which is, I mean, 10 out of 10 for effort, but I mean, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, don't do that. There's more parts to go wrong, and they were like little tiny whiny fans. So it didn't really work very well. And I mean, this is that thing about synth DIY. Everyone's like, you know, recapping synths, recap it, that'll make it work. And what I did was I did recap the power supply. And so I just looked opened it up, and I just looked at the, you know, the capacitors, which like the sort of things that look like beer cans. No, those are electrolytic capacitors, yes, that look like beer cans. And then I just got like good, really high quality versions of those same values. And I desoldered all the old ones. And I soldered in the new ones. And I powered it on. And it broke. Never worked again. No, it worked perfectly. It actually 100% works like a charm now. And I felt like a bloody genius. But I'm not. I literally just recapped a power supply, which makes you sound like you're some kind of like legend, but it just literally means I desoldered all the little cans that were in it, and I soldered in good quality new ones, and that's it. And that, you know, it takes 2 hours, or like taking it apart and being careful and desoldering the bits, and like it's not that hard. It really isn't that hard. And you've got a working tool at the end of it. And it's something very satisfying, especially in the case of like that K1M. It's over here. I can't, it's too far away to reach it, otherwise I'd show you it. And it's like, it's so satisfying, that idea that you've brought something back from the dead. Something that had a life and was used and loved by someone, and was basically one step away from going in the junk heap. And you are the person to buy it and love it and bring it back. And it's also really scratched and scarred, is the K1M. So it's like been pre-loved. And it's that idea that it was seconds away from the sort of execution, and it's not only has it got a stay of execution, but it's got a whole extra part to its life. If you couldn't tell, I synthesize far too much. Probably why I find it really hard to get rid of them. But they are like little friends, aren't they? Your little hangout, your little buddies, your workmates, your colleagues. If you know, if making music is your job, then your synths are definitely your co-workers. I don't know about Stephen Accounts, he's an asshole. Yeah. Okay. How we're looking. Can you see? Yeah. Snip the bits. Get a smaller snipper. What's wrong with this? It's a good size. There's an LED here as well. I'm like, what's this LED for? Kaping, kaping. Need like a big strong magnet just to pick up these little bits. Hear my gate working. Sorry, that's me inspecting the part. I should probably do that where you can actually see. Hogging all the fun for myself. I kind of don't want these to be too pokey out, just because, for obvious reasons, there's very little clearance here, and you don't want parts like prodding the bottom of the module they're plugged into. All righty, mate. I believe it's called progress. Try not to lose too much stuff down the chasm. A bit freaked out that there's extra cheeky extras, but Peterson's a generous chap. He's given us all the bits we need. Whoa! Dan Wimperis just donated me £10, mate. Just treat yourself to a third hand for your soldering. Thank you very much. I've only got like I actually do have one, but as you can see, it's basically, you know, in AI, all of the sort of like freaky robots that are made from bits and are like, my arm doesn't work. Like, it's one of those. So thank you. I will actually get myself a proper one because, yeah, I do need a parts holder. What I see Finley Shakespeare and Tom Whitwell as well using these like beautiful parts holders that are like these like big heavy kind of like table sort of things with grippers. I'm gonna get one of those. They're like really lovely objects. They're almost like paperweights, but they're, you know, they look like some kind of industrial machine. So I need to populate the BC327 transistors. Thought you'd never ask. Transistors bag 4. Makes me think of Transistor Sounds Labs. What are they up to? What are they doing with their drum machine? Sorry, well, they're making a stepper pattern? Stepper drum, which is like a drum sequencer, which I saw at Synth Meet recently. Recently, last year. Back when we had meetups. I missed that. Greg says, Mylar, did you see a fella donated $12? $12 Is that a type of dollar for a mat? I'm not sure what that is. Thank you. What is Ben's messaging me? PCB holder for DIN rail mountain. I don't know what that means. What do you mean? Thank you. Anyone who's donated, by the way, sorry, I apologize if I missed that. I'm so sorry. That is amazing. Thank you so much. I will reinvest. I mean, it's ironic, you know, if I reinvest, then this will all pass more quickly. You'll get less content. Perhaps the content you get will be more engaging. I will accept. So BC327 transistors. Transistors are these little units. Look at these little things. Little sort of D-shaped houses. And what I know about transistors is they're important. And oh my God, as I go through my angles, you need to get them in the right way around. They have got a orientation. Oh, Ben sent me a link to Burntech PCB holder. Let's have a look. Oh, that's a clampy style. A clampy. Yeah, that is nice. I don't know, I saw these things, they're like big sort of, it's like a beer can, but they look very nice. I just wanted it because Tom Whitwell had it, you know, I want to be like Tom Whitwell. I've got a few transistors here. Transistor ladder, obviously, is the... I mean, I don't know. This is the problem. I don't know how circuits work. I could tell you like what transistors are used for, but I don't know. Note there are two different types of transistors in the bag. Some with silver markings on top and some without. Shooting. Rootin', tootin', shooting. Look. Silver, not silver. Okay, so that's the silver one. That's a silver friend. That's not a silver friend. That's not a silver friend. This all... That is a silver friend. There we go. Okay. So we've got our two different types, separated by the infinite chasm of doom. So there are two different types, some with silver markings and some without. Those without a marking are the BC327s. Here you will find them on the south side of the infinite chasm of lost parts. Place them in the positions that have an outline on the transistor instead of a filled-in shape. I totally understand what you mean, Pearson. What he's saying is put them in the ones that aren't filled in. Very true. We'll see. You can see, look, these are filled in. That's where the silver-topped ones need to go. Sorry, just working out my angles. Ben is sending me... Oh. Hacko on... Yes, mate. Oh, mate. To Amazon. Other stores are available. That is what I mean. 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 Look at that. That's just... I don't... You know... It's one of those things, like, I don't know what it is, but I want it. Oh, shit. It's £73.94. The Behringer mate one. I don't really want the Behringer one. Thank you, Ben. Maybe there is a, you know, not Behringer, but like, you know, someone in the middle. They're kind of Mackie. I need like a Mackie one. Pushing. Oh, I should do this where you can actually see it. Push the transistors into place. Do it here. Place them in the positions. Make sure they're in the right way. Does anyone know what transistors do? I mean, genuinely, why would there be transistors? Because, I mean, this whole circuit is working with a kind of kludge. It doesn't contain 15 IPS tape. It's just literally smooshing. It's smooshing sound through parts in a way that sounds a bit like tape. I'm reading these comments. Transistors are valves, says Greg. Are they really? In what sense? I mean, that would also assume that I know really what a valve does, other than valves make things sound valvey and analog, you know. It's like, I don't really know what they do in a true sense. They open and close, they're switches. But how do they have a sound? Do transistors have a sound? Isn't that something that people say? They're just switches. A transistor can be either an amplifier or a switch that's mostly random. Hello, mate. They just turn things on and off. But you know, how do people use them? What is a transistor ladder then? You know, the Moog filter, you know, what is that? How does that use transistors? I need an explain like I'm 5, but for parts. Oh my god, Peterson is in the chat. Peterson's the man who actually invented this kit. Hello, mate. Peterson says, in this case, they're providing gain. They sound good and tapey because they're getting pushed into their non-linear range, so they generate harmonics. So Peterson, they're saying they're smashing devices. They provide gain, but like nice-sounding gain. Drivey gain. Thank you, Peterson. Yeah, Peterson is DIYRE. Thank you for dropping in. This has been sort of long build. I'd like to say that your instructions are excellent. This is all very clear and well laid out. Perhaps there needed to be a thing at the top that just said, hey, Alex, you printed out the thing that told you all the resistors are. You didn't need to spend like an hour and a half, like double, triple, quadruple, quintuple checking. I just wanted to get it right, you know. And I have to say, in my smug defense, I may well take my time picking resistors, but I have, with the exception of the radio music, which just needed the parts separating or the solder joint separating, I have never built a kit that didn't work first time. Famous last words. Building it on, like, live. Peterson says, exactly, we have classy smashing devices here. And this is, I mean, it'd be interesting if you can talk a tiny bit about, like, the difference between, you know, the, what is the difference between the Mark I and Mark II 15 IPS? Of the parts that you've used, do they have, is there a particular, you know, what, you've got a lot more parts here, basically. And I know it says on the website, but what is the difference? What have you, you know, how do they sound different? Boom, 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 boom. I don't know if I was supposed to put them. I'm going to put these all in. No, what we need to do is put them all in. Ooh. XI Zora, is it She Shora? Says, build a hex mix system and say that again. The, I got my hex mix done. Hex mix is an amazing product. It is by far my favorite mixer in Eurorack. My goodness, that's a deep build. There's a lot of parts to it. I mean, building a mixer like flipping heck, but I mean, no, really, it's intense. I don't think I'd be up for that. But yes, I've been lucky to say that nothing I've built has not worked. But I also would count the fact that I don't know what I'm doing as an advantage, because people who know what they're doing, they make mistakes. People who don't know what they're doing, double, triple, quintuple check. So they take 5 times longer, but they get it right. Sheer bloody mindedness. So Peterson answers the question. So Mark I and Mark II. The difference sound-wise, by the way, this is the Mark I and the Mark II. More parts. The difference between sound-wise is that the distortion is tamed a bit and made more complex in the Mark II. Ooh, like a rich, complex wine. Circuit-wise, there are more parts than the PCB, but actually lots fewer in the circuit. What we did is replace an IC op-amp, there it is, with discrete parts. Why did you replace the IC op-amp with discrete bits? Just to make it sound, is this like a slightly lower quality technically? It's more, jankier sounding. What is the part? I don't know. I don't know why I bothered to look at that. I don't know what that is. It's a little buggy little box that looks like a bug. A little buggy thing. That's what it is. One of them buggy things. Until I reinvest that money, which I appreciate, I will use my blue tack. I always laugh. The Viz comic, which has one of the Viz's names for something is Neptune's Kiss. That's when you go for a poo and the poo drops and the and you, oh my god, I've just soldered the solder department talking about shitting, and then the poo plop, you get the little kiss of water from the drop. That's Neptune's Kiss. I just received Satan's Kiss, which is when you get a little plop of solder and it scalds you. It's been a long 2 hours. I'm really like, society is ending. Oh shit. Peterson says, in a circuit with tons of transistors, you can make them all very happy and operating their ideal linear range. With fewer, they all have more to do in the work, more work to do, and start to show their inherent imperfections, which we call tone. No tears kiss. Funk have cool stickers, they do. Culture, mate. I mean, that's what it means by synth. Yeah, I always find it weird. It's like, guitars don't really kill fascists? I'm like, no, culture kills fascists. Techno. Well, yeah, I hope anyway. Anyway, fascism is, well, it's not the least of our problems, but we've got other problems at the moment. Funny, isn't it? God. When real life just becomes like a sci-fi film, like watching this sort of broadcast with Chris Whitty, who's our top science man, and it's an advert before Belgravia comes on ITV, and it's like Chris Whitty is like stood there going, maintain 2 meters distance, do not leave your home. It's like, Jesus Christ, like this is literally like life imitating art. This is just like something from Children of Men. My God. And it's just our life. It is absolutely crackers. Anyway, back to transistors. Peterson says we use nickel-plated pins. Good to know. Yeah, remain indoors. Tell you what, though, it is good time for making and playing with synthesizers. I think the only problem is just feeling, awful and miserable about the state of the world. I don't buy the whole, you need to be sad to make art. I think the opposite is true. I think if you're truly sad, you don't feel like doing anything. So I understand people who are like, you know what, like I've got more time than ever, but I don't feel like doing anything. I think I understand where they're coming from. What's crazy is how quickly we get used to it. The new normal. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Shizora says a day to do SMD on this table because that crack would be the death of it. I got a new graphics card, which is actually doing some of the hardware encoding for this stream that you're watching. Thanks very much. Has the added benefit of running virtual reality games even better, so I can play Half-Life Alyx. Amazing. I was looking at the PCB, and it's got the kind of that, I don't know the name of it, but the ultra hyper small PCB size, part size, where it's like way beyond what you can really, unless you're sort of, Cool Hand Luke, what you can actually solder by hand. I was like, that's a machine that's done that. I'm willing to bet, I'm sure absolutely certain there are people who can solder that kind of like super hyper gauge, whatever it is, like sort of crazy lowest possible gauge parts. Mostly Random says Half-Life Alyx is amazing. 602 SMD, yes, really small. I am excited. It's ridiculous to upgrade your graphics card, but also there's loads of other VR things that, I've had an Oculus Rift for years and years. I honestly don't have a lot of time to play it, and for obvious reasons. And then also I have a lot of space to play it. And I just had a moment where I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to take my computer upstairs and set it up in the living room. Our living room is upstairs, upside down house. I need to solder some of these parts, but I'm going to actually get some of the legs out of the way. And so, yeah, I moved it upstairs and I was able to have like a proper play space. It's amazing. You can like jump around like an idiot. But I, you know, it is pretty twisted, but I'm thinking, you know, in this day and age, I'm like, actually, yeah, it might be good to like resurrect my VR thing and actually go somewhere in VR and do some stuff. Like, it is almost like, well, it's not like a holiday, but it is a bit like going to a theme park, which you can't really do. We do have a theme park near where I'm currently called Lightwater Valley. And I mean, it's a sort of small regional theme park. It's sort of notable for the fact that it is pretty janky, to the point where all of the rides, I mean, I haven't been since I was a kid, although I hadn't been since I was a kid. And then I can't remember what the hell the occasion was. I went like probably 6 or 7 years ago for a day. And like, oh my God, all of the rides, which I remember being awesome, have taken on a whole new sheen of edginess, because they're really old and decrepit. And so, you know, they're kind of scary, but for the reason that you actually genuinely think you're going to die. I mean, that's some HD right there. Thanks, Peterson. Peterson signing off. Mate, thank you so much, and thank you for making an amazing thing. Let's hope this works when I turn it on, and then tomorrow evening I'm going to actually use this thing and blast some music through it. But I have got a bit of a, if we even get to this stage, to get to this finishing stage, I've actually got a little rig to my side where I can plug this in and you can hear it working. So it will either be the most awful damp squib of an ending to a video or like the most glorious payoff if it actually works. What's that Tom Lewis comment? I love a Mank theme park. Do you mean Manky theme park or a theme park in Manchester? I'm not in Manchester. Anyway, what's wrong with Mancunians? My mum's from Manchester. How dare you say that? Manchester, so much to answer for. Ooh. Be fastidious. Eat my own dog food. Yeah, mate. That's funny. It'd be amusing to see you do all of this work and then you accidentally plug the red stripe in the wrong way up. Lol. Yes, it would. Luckily for me, Peterson has designed this format so you can't plug it in the wrong way around, because this is a color palette rather than a Eurorack. But I mean, I could plug this in the wrong way around. That is a possibility. Actually, I did. I plugged it in before this vid. I've got like this little. Where is it? Yeah. I've got this amazing case, which is like uses this sort of dumb power supply. No, really, it does actually genuinely say, well, maybe it is stupid on it, but it's also dumb. And this dumb power supply runs off with me. And basically I plugged in the color palette and it was doing some weird stuff, like where it was just flashing and not booting properly. And I think it's simply just because, to its credit, the color palette, so it's a good little case, but the color palette needs a heck ton of power because all of these things are running at 16 volts, I think. 16 volts, so they're sort of, yeah. Good comment. Your video on killing that DIRPFA module haunts me to this day. Wait. I'm coming back. Oh, my legs. Wait for it. Wait for it. Keep waiting for it. Oh my God, man, I've been sat down for too long. You mean this one? No, I love you, Dutfer, but let's all take a moment to appreciate what I did. Can you see this? I put red nail polish to mark the red stripe. If only Dieter could have done that. It wasn't very hard, was it? Yeah. So there's the... it's here. Maybe I should get my soldering iron out and fix it. Problem is that it's an IC. There's some part that's naffed. It's not anything I can fix without like replacing all the parts, and you should just replace the whole thing. Okay. We're nearly there. Look at this. It's starting to look like a module. There's only a few bits left. Excuse me. Capacitors. These are tinkers, I think. Place the smaller capacitors in their respective places. These capacitors are not polarized and can be placed in either direction. Solder and trim the leads. Populate large capacitors. What about this? What's this? Oh, damn it, Peterson, where have you gone? Come back. What is that? What is it? Oh, yeah. It just comes under the moniker of small caps. Okay. C2. Can you imagine if I tried to build like a full-size module? It'd be here all bloody night. I mean, it's 20 past 11, but hey, where are you going to go? I mean, you may have far more entertaining things to watch, but you know, you can't watch me, like, you can only watch me mess up a module in one place. That's a rare opportunity. It's not, I mean, there's no way I've messed this up. Absolutely no way. I am a module making machine. Keep doing these stuff away from the cameras. Oh yeah, fit the LED too. You were absolutely right. But hang on. It does say fit the LED. It's there. It's in the picture. But where's the bit in the guide where it talks about putting it in? And LEDs have to go in the correct way round. You can't just floof that. And I think it is long leg is plus. Oh, that's quite cool. It has 15 IPS manual written on the bottom. Come on, that's sloppy, Peterson. If you were here, mate, the guide does not mention the LED. Window Licker, good name. 808, also good name. Imagine how Robin Vincent feels building Deckard's Dream from scratch. I know, mate. No wonder it's like a 4,000 part series. Poor dude is going to be doing that. I mean, I assume like most of us, he's got more time on his hands recently. C3, C1. Yeah, I mean, the guide. I'm not just being like dumb here, but the guide does not mention the LED. Now, you see, I'm looking at these little tiny little red houses, and I want these to be straight. I don't want crooked teeth on my watch. Folks talking about their manufacturing press, like WMD and other people making modules in this difficult time. Yeah, it is bonkers. People need to stay apart, otherwise one person who's ill comes in and makes everyone ill. Then you've got no production at all. We've been hearing about places that do split shifts where they've basically got different teams of people coming in so that there's no crossover, which makes sense. Okay, well, I guess I'll just put the LEDs in, and I guess I'll just assume that the long leg of the LED means plus. I think that's right, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm actually going to Google this. Does anyone know? Although I should, you know, I've said in that video about breaking the broken dirt for modules, like don't just trust people's assumptions on the internet. Check for yourself. LED leg long plus. LED leg long plus. LED basics. How to tell which lead is positive or negative. Here are some more questions we get asked a lot. What is the positive or negative lead? How do you determine the polarity of a lead? If the lead has, this is a big page and it's just give me a yes or no answer. If the lead has two leads, one longer than the other, the longer lead is positive, also known as the anode. Thanks. End of story. Good story. I enjoyed it. The longer lead is the anode. Anode. Is the other the diode? Probably is. Long is plus. Thank you, John. Long is anode. Is the opposite of that diode. Is that what a diode is? And what does anode mean? Anode, what is it? Anode, what it means. I don't anode what it means. Oh my god. It's been a long day, folks. It's been a long day. Ooh, it's a lot of good knowledge in this. You people all sound like you know what you're doing. I don't know what you're watching. Watching some guy on the internet get things wrong. Well, what is this massive thing? Oh, it's the... like, what, bloody hell? Massive. I don't remember putting that in. It's like, it's taken me that long to do it. It's the... well, little capacitor that looks like a duffel bag. And these ones are little red houses. Anode, cathode from your valves. You guys in Europe invented this stuff. Europia. You goddamn limeys. You invented it. Come on. Limeys. God. In a very funny time at Super Booth many years ago, or several years ago, 2 years ago, with Marco from Snap. Marco's a producer at Snap Studios, is in London, and is a very cool studio. They've got a lot of amazing equipment. Fairchild, unlike even better than the Fairchild, they've actually got a live, like a reverb chamber that is, you know, is all tiled, like reflective surfaces. And it was very late, and we'd been out in a kebab place doing impressions of Don Buchla and Associates, private investigators. You had to be there, but yeah, Don Buchla and Associates. I mean, it sounds like a private detective agency, doesn't it? Doesn't sound like they make synthesizer. Hey, Don Buchla, Don at your service. Service. Hey, it's Don. What was my joke? It was, hey, Don's in a bad mood. Don't bother him. Come back in the morning. Then he'll be equally tempered. I'm here all night. No, I really am here all night. I can't go anywhere. And neither can you. You've got to stay for the end now. Yeah, I think I've done it. Boom. I mean, also, it's funny also to make Don Buchla sound like an East Coast, you know. Like, oh yeah, I'm Bob Moog. Oh, hi. That was supposed to be like a valley person accent. I don't know how to do that. Oh, like totally. Subtractive, yeah. Oh, you're totally subtractive. This is, yeah, really scraping the barrel here. Well, I'm having fun. Wow. Fuck me, how long has this video been going on for? It's like a 4 hour long video. Wow. Is this the longest video I've made live for 2.5 hours? Oh no, look. Shit, man. My LED is wonky. Wonky. I made it wonky. Oh well. Adds charm, doesn't it? Oh, that is a bit annoying. Ugh. Oh, that's going to annoy me. But fortunately, I don't have to look at it because it stays in there. Folks, we're getting down to it. Transistors. I populated the transistors, the small caps, the large caps, followed by large capacitors and then small capacitors. Place them in the hole. Capacitors, it is important that you've got them in the correct orientation. Here we go. Pop them in. Yes, just like this. So, I suppose they have an anode and a cathode. Yeah. Greg asks, sometime can you make a big... Jesus Christ. That's what he said, I believe. Sometimes can you make a vid about your live streaming rig? I mean, if that is genuinely interesting, then I can. My live streaming rig is very simple. It's just OBS. And what I would say, recent was a discovery that you can get an ASIO driver for Windows for OBS. So you can actually use, I've got my Apollo going in, and that's why I sound so ridiculously overcompressed, is because I've ridiculously overcompressed myself with the Apollo. But it means that you can hear me properly. And can you hear the gate? That's the API Vision, which has got such a good gate. That's the UAD plugin of the API Vision. Is like an amazing gate. Just like well, it's an expander, but I always put it on expander mode, but it acts as a gate and basically always just comes up, makes audible what you want to be audible when you want it to be audible. It doesn't do that thing that gates sometimes do, where you like say something quietly and it just doesn't actually open. It just gets completely missed. Yeah. Well, these are jiggling around. So these are the electrolytic capacitors. These were what I replaced in my mixer. The little beer cans. They're called beer cans. That's what they are. They're more like, tuna cans. No, they're not like that at all. They're like beer cans. Or like cans of black beans. Okay. Holy crap, are they all the same type? Completely didn't check whether they're the same type. They are. Yeah, sorry. Just wanted to be sure. I was like, wait, what? Whoa, hang on. I'm like getting to a point where I'm sort of frazzling myself. Stick. A sticky, sticky, sticky stick. The smell of solder will always make me think of electronics classes at school. Like building sort of toothpaste timers and stuff like that. Having no idea what I was doing. Not really, I don't know. Did I learn anything? I would say, I didn't learn anything of use. All my actual abilities to make kits and things like this are all just come from doing. Didn't learn it in school. That is a terrible joint. Come on. That is a much better looking joint. Just refloat it. This isn't Play-Doh, it's blue tack, though Play-Doh would be better. Huzzah! Soldered. Solder. 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 Soldering it, mate. I actually think I've finished. Flipping heck and flip. I'm re-tinning. Et voila. So, I think I've bloody done it. How do you like them apples? Ah, no. I got wonky. They're wonky. Oh my god, they're all leaning. Ugh. Ugh. It's just aesthetic, but they're sort of wonky lean. Well done. Well bloody done. Doesn't make any difference. Still tastes just the same. Okay. So I guess I'll, if I'm done with this, I'll just start again on kit number 2. You're all up for that yet? No, I'm not. There's no way. I'm doing this in mono. That will do. That'll do, pig. It's good for me as well to do stuff in mono. Well, I suppose the output of my modular could be in mono, and then I could have the Hydrosynth in stereo or something. Oh, look at that. How do you like them apples? Look at those apples. Look at them. Look at those apples. Keep looking at those apples. Right, I've gone a bit mad. Yeah, Ian Robichaud. Ian says the proof is in the pudding. And you are absolutely right, Ian. Final checks. Greg S says, have you got the module Hydra? Hang on. Yeah, I do. Oh God. Flipping heck. Oh God. I forgot how to walk. It's really good. Yeah. The modular one is amazing. I did say, well, earlier, that it was about 4.5 hours earlier, that I did a live stream. If you go put Hydrosynth live stream, or just Hydrosynth Mylar live stream, it will bring it up. And it's, yeah, I did a live stream. 45 minutes on this table. So it was also a test for this. Right, okay, sorry, I'm back to work. Final checks. Before you wrap up, check the following things. Capacitor orientation. Is the stripe on the cap on the opposite side from the plus marking on the PCB? Good call. Yes, it is. Diode operation. Do the stripes on the diode match those on the PCB? Well, I can't see the PCB anymore, can I? Because I've bloody done it, haven't I? But I've got another one. You see, I've only got another one, so I can check on that one, can't I? That's cheating. Normal mortals don't get the chance to do that. Yeah, it does. Left, right, left, right. Left, right, left, right. Raf. Gone completely mad. Yeah, diode does match. Transistor. Does the transistor, shape of the transistor match the outline on the puckerbur? Yes, it does. It so does, mate. Resistors. Do all the resistors positions correspond to the chart? Folks, I think at this stage we're just gonna take it as read. I did check. Remember, I double checked actually, so I've already done this. Soldering. Is every solder joint shiny and clean if one is cloudy or misshapen? Is every solder joint shiny and clean if it's cloudy or misshapen? Try reheating it for 8 seconds. 8 seconds, that's very specific. And adding a tiny bit more solder. Alright. Well, that's very fair. Absolutely very fair question. I'm going to... Sorry, it's got to that point. It's got to the do with Bowie impressions point. Whoever said this, you're a genius. It's genuinely a lot easier. I have this weird thing that, like, when you've got a bright shiny light on solder joints, it's almost impossible to see them. Like, the sort of their shininess kind of means that it's really hard to even see if they're, you know, what they actually look like. I don't know why that is. Sort of just dazzles you. It's easier with this. So I'm just systematically checking all the joints, and let's not be too precious. I mean, they'll be fine, he says. Great end to a video. Oh mate, come on, you need a bit more solder on that one. Okay, that one's rubbish. We're going to redo that one. But we look good. We're looking good. And then we're going to flip A and check that. Yeah. So where was my one dodge? My dodge one. It's probably, I've been talking too much through this whole thing. That one. This little tinker. Flipping heck. There's like nothing on it. Come on. Solder doesn't cost much. You can have a bit more. Keep losing it. Actually, both of those, I would say. Boom. Night debaser. Thank you for anyone who is, thank you for anyone who's watching this. Not if you've stuck it out for even 2 to 3 minutes. I highly appreciate your attention. Mate. Absolutely amazing. I think I'm finished. I'm going to check if there's something. Is there anything else? Trim. Are the excess leaves trimmed down as much as possible? That is a fair question, Peterson. Have I trimmed them? Yeah, probably trimmed that one a bit extra. I just don't want any. Yeah, it's fine. Fine, innit? Finished. Help us improve. Tell me about the LED. You probably should mention the LED. I'm fairly sure it doesn't say on there. That's cool. It gives you a little picture. Yep. It looks like that. It looks like that. That looks like that. Oh, hear that? Shh. Oh, is that an owl? I thought that was Francis. Check. No. Anyway, it's an owl. Right, I'm unplugging my soldering iron. Excuse me. Cool. Mate, did it. Where's my little brush? I've got a second studio brush. You all know about studio brushes. Oh, seriously, this room is an absolute state. But I was just sort of trying to get this set up, and it's sort of, you know how it is. You're like, just at all costs, just get this part of the room set up. Unfortunately, the whole rest of the building has suffered as a result. My studio is really untidy, and I have very few spaces to put anything. But I have some. And we're going to plug this in. And we're going to test it. 3 hours later. We're not going to test it with any old shite. We're going to bloody test it with that. That's what we're testing it with. Yeah. System 80 880, which is an 808 in Euro rack. Joy. How are we doing? So, excuse me while I rejigger my setup. Ooh, I should have dusted it. I don't think you've got enough resolution to see that that needs dusting. So, this is the System 8880. For those who listen to my world famous international podcast, Why We Bleep, you may or may not, but hopefully may, be interested to know that the next bleep will be with Gaz Williams, but the bleep beyond that, actually no, I don't think the bleep beyond that, I really need to get a person who's not a man. I'm going to work on that. But I'd interviewed Jeff from System 80, and we have a really good chat about building 808s and all this jazz malarkey. Yeah, basically it's coming. So if you are interested in this, we have a really good chat, nerd out about all manner of things. Yeah. Ooh, that's a bit close, isn't it? Let's do that. Okay, so let's plug this thing in. So here's the back of the color palette. This doesn't really give you very much meaningfully. Ooh, read the frequency. Yes. I'm hoping to. Oh, sod it. Okay, we're going to do that. So, yeah, they plug in. There is a jumper, and I think I've got these set to color. Oh, the top one is color install. The other ones are not. I'm almost like nervous. It's always that stage with any. Oh, don't tell me that I've done this wrong. What the deuce? I thought that it wasn't going to go in for a second. I just had it like a few pins. It's got like a bit like Eurorack. There are more pins here than you actually use in these circuits. So as long as you've got the little feet in. May 08. Look at that. Holy heck. So I suppose there's nothing else for it other than red stripe to red stripe, minus 12. I think I don't check my own working. Of course I do. Boof. So, look at that. This is cool. When you put in the color modules, there's some of the resistors that I put in were determining a color that is the color that basically is like color coded. So the 15 IPS cards glow this kind of gold. So is it passing? I was like, it's not passing audio, I'm a bit screwed. I'm like, dude, you need to plug it in. You need to plug it in. Okay. Where's the out? That's the out. Hey. What did I tell you? Have I ever built a module that didn't work first time? Actually, the answer is yes. And so the real question you're asking is, so what does it sound like not through? So that's the dry signal. So this is just uncolored. That's just using as a VCA. Now, sounds like there's more bass. I hope you can hear this. Is this distorting or anything? Please tell me in the comments if it's distorting or it sounds good. Just sounds a bit, I mean, it's cool, but it sounds like there's more bass, doesn't it? does sound like there's more low end, doesn't it? Definitely. That's one of the things, it just gives you that like low end bump. I mean, to be honest, I've got too much bass in my modular. I'd like to point out how great the clap sounds in my 808. My 880. Ooh. Bit of a dirty part. Yeah. So this is like your drive dial, but I need to watch my levels. I'm probably smashing the... this is such a convoluted setup because I'm going through the UA... Where's my UA console? Yeah. I have got a limiter on the output here just to like not overdo it, but I don't have as much control on this input. Yeah, the clap is just amazing. And interestingly, we talk about the clap in the live, the podcast. And yeah, the clap is basically the magic circuit in 808. It's the thing that's hardest to get right. And they're all a little bit different. And in the 880s, there is a trimmer, so you can adjust the trim on the back of them. Made it this far, I'll play a bit more. Again, we'll move to the dry. I mean, this is louder now, so not colour your judgment. But I mean, this is just a drum machine. You need to hear with the whole mix, really. shout out Tom Lewis. How you doing, mate? I hope you're making some techno. What are you doing watching this? Go make some techno. Do a swap, so we'll go back to the theme. It's just more like crunch and forward and bassy, which is to say better. Polymetric sequencing. No, I don't think it does. It's an 808. It does what an 808 does. Yeah. Ben's right, you're probably hitting the sound card hard. I think you're probably right. Hard to make the levels, like matching the levels to my sound card is really hard. I'm smashing OBS. The Switch would be better. Could I do that? Because there's a pass-through here. I don't know if it's compounding the... sort of half pressing it in. Sod it. We made it this far. Let's try something. Talk amongst yourselves. Hello. Switch multiple. Dyna cable. Oh, you bastard. Yeah, this will work. Doesn't work. Why are you not working? Oh, hang on. Wait, no. Wait, no. Am I being dumb? No, I probably am being dumb. Hang on. I want one in. Sorry, it's like nearly midnight. Into one. No. I can't do this with a switch multiple. This is why. Where's my... I need that Dupfer, the new Dupfer switched malt. That's what I need. That's why that's really useful. And why you can't do it with just straight up malts. What have I done with it? I think it's in my modular, but it's hidden. Where have you gone? Where have you gone? I don't know where it is, but I would like to find it. Folks, this is why like real videos are edited. If you do this with me, you don't get the edit. I don't know where it is. I think it's in my modular. It's in the live system, but there's just too much stuff in the way. Oh, wait. Dita. You might be bad at marking red stripes, but you do make exceedingly useful modules. So this is what I need. Bob is entirely your uncle. It's not. Oh, Bob. Why is that not working? That doesn't make sense. Why isn't that working? Genuinely. Is that cable broken? What? Am I being dumb? No, that does not make sense. Why is that not connecting? Ah, folks, that's why we make high quality videos that I spend basically entire evenings, over multiple evenings and mornings, editing them to get rid of all the bits where it's just like, why is it not working? I'm not sure why it's not working, but I'm happy. This sounds great. Vibes. Folks, it's midnight. What you're doing? Go to bed. Right. I'm going to call it a day. This has been a successful build. Yeah, it works. So I'm very happy to say that that little bad Mother Hubbard does things. Sounds good. It's got like a funky low end. And I'd love to have two, but as you can see, it's a little bit time consuming just making one. So with that, I want to say thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting. Thank you very much for your donations. Thank you for being awesome. Join me at the same time tomorrow night where I will be playing on my modular system, and I will have this to the side and we'll smash my whole modular through it. So join me and be well. Maintain your distance. Keep washing your hands for at least 20 seconds, otherwise it doesn't work. And be well and good. And take care. Lots of love. Cheers.